My laptop is playing with me, y'all.
I mean, let me tell you, technology is not my not my friend.
Like it's
All right.
acting like it doesn't want to charge.
Well, let's get going and see if we can keep it charged with our energy, with our natural energy, our conversation. I love
With
it.
the Infinity Stones.
Yes. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining Portland Cocktail Week Distance Learning. My name is Daniel Warrilow. I work for Campari America. I'm the Italian Portfolio Ambassador. I have the great pleasure of working on all of our Italian brands. Obviously, the main brand we have, the namesake of the company, Campari, the original red Italian bitter, often imitated, never duplicated. We are very excited to present today, talking about hospitality. And one of my favorite things about hospitality is that every single person that is watching this today knows exactly what we're talking about. You know what I mean? We're all here for this reason. Even though I work on this side of the business now, I spent 15 years in the hospitality industry. Campari is a really great brand to talk about too when we're talking about this because Gaspari Campari, who invented Campari, he started working in bars and restaurants when he was 14 years old. He was working in bars and restaurants when he made Campari. He had a cafe called Cafe Campari. He, his wife, his children, they all worked in that cafe. They were all in the hospitality industry their entire lives. So I'm really, really excited today, especially to represent Campari, but more importantly, to introduce Robi Khlafani. You can also find her on Instagram, Robi Wan Kenobi, which there it is. Thank you very much, Leo. Always coming in with a hot tip. So thank you so much, Robi. Thank you for putting this presentation together. I know everybody's going to be really excited. I'm excited to present with you. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments. We'll ask them as we go along. And if we miss anything, we'll come back to it at the end. But enough of me. Let's move on, Robi. Thank you so much. It's all you.
Hi, everybody. Oh, my goodness. I am your professor today. This is so exciting. So, I am here to talk to you about hospitality. I don't even want to really talk about myself because there's not much for me to say. It's about you guys. That's what hospitality is. And it's called Hospitality Infinity Wars for a few reasons. If you saw me on PDXCW Live earlier on Instagram, I spoke a little bit about how the Infinity Wars was literally a movie about saving the world and how so many different people had to do so many different intricate things separately and come together and make something amazing happen. Make sure the world was saved. I loved it. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I'm not getting paid by Marvel to say that. If you could, Leo, the next slide for me so we can start this thing. Woo! I love it when he does that. So we're going to talk about a couple things. Now, the Infinity Wars, there was a gauntlet, as you can see here, lovely placed. It has 6 stones. Each stone represented something and represented a different way of, changing an experience. And in that case, it was changing the world and killing a lot of people. But in this instance, it's changing the experience of our guests and how we discuss things with each other, how we talk to each other, how we talk to our guests, and what we're going to do in the future to maybe make this even cooler of an industry because it's pretty dope already. We're going to start with Mind, the vision of hospitality. So when I say the vision of hospitality, I pretty much mean what is it? What are we talking about when we're really talking about hospitality? It is a friendly and generous reception. Friendly and generous reception. And entertainment of guests, visitors, or strangers. You don't gotta know this person to be friendly or generous, okay? And that's a wonderful thing. We have a lot of different industries inside of our industry. So there's food and beverage, travel and tourism, lodging, recreation. And in those things are idiosyncrasies of how you react and how you are friendly and generous in your reception. I mostly know about food and beverage because bartender life. However, when we go on vacation, we want that same friendly and generous reception. We want people to welcome us. We want them to be knowledgeable, as you can see over here on the side, the hospitality essentials. We want them to be flexible with if we don't have something or if we forgot something. Like, you just want people to be gracious with you. And that's dope. Like, there's nothing else to say about that. So now that we understand, or we should understand, we should have already understood, but now that we truly understand what we're talking about when we say hospitality, we can go to the next slide. And we can get into ooh, I love when it does that too. The vibes of hospitality. So we were talking about like the distinct things just now in the last slide, like what you should do, what people are expecting. But there's also how do you show hospitality personally? Me, I am warm and welcoming. I like to give hugs, even to my guests if they're huggers. You know what I'm saying? I like to remember names. So that's a type of hospitality type thing. And you get those from different places. Southern hospitality, you're gonna walk in, she's gonna be like, hey baby, come on in. Everything's wonderful. How you feeling? Upscale service, you're like, hello, sir, ma'am, madam, person. How can I assist you today? But it's still the same vibe. Mom and pop, they're gonna talk to you from across the counter. What's going on? Welcome, come through. It's all still hospitality. It's just how we do it. And honestly, it's a type of mind control, which is why this is the mind part of it. When you use effective hospitality, you can literally change someone's stinky attitude. Like you can literally change their entire experience. I could have had the worst day ever, walked in, had one drink and a little combo, and it just uplifted me, you know? And it's an amazing thing it's an amazing power to have. And we all get it naturally just by being in this industry. You can't be in it without being hospitable. But the next step to that would be at the bottom, telepathic service, where you are literally thinking before they even need. Now y'all know y'all got superpowers. You're welcome. Next slide, Leo. Aha, y'all know who this guy is. Even if you've never seen the movie, you know this is the bad guy. So don't be the bad guy. Okay, when it comes to power, there are many different facets of it. And there's many ways that you can use your power. Now, when I was doing this slide and thinking about this, I was really stuck as to like, who has it? Who has the power to make these changes and to keep it consistent? And I came to the conclusion that it's literally all of us. We literally, just like voting, we literally all have the power to make the change by doing what we can do in the spaces that we're in. So, like, if you go to the next slide, Leo, for example, when you empower someone, you're giving them the authority or the power to do something, you know, you're giving them the power to feel stronger, to be more confident about something. And that comes in different ways. So my favorite way to be empowered is as an employee. I love it when my boss is like, hey, I hired you to do this job and I believe that you can do it. So this is what I'm going to allow you to do that. Now, if you come to a place where, you know, you're stuck, I empower you also to come ask me for help. Lovely. That's what I want to hear from the bosses. Okay. But also there's a certain level of empowering your guests. You don't want your guests to be like that baby in the room that don't know how to do nothing. Where's the bathroom? I don't know. Empower them. Hey, this is the information. This is what you can do with it. We are welcome and happy to do anything to appease what you need. But like, balls in your court, bro. You came here to eat. You came here to drink. Let me know what you need. But I've been in places where I walk in and I'm like, I don't even want to ask the server for water. Like, I don't feel like it's appropriate to ask for my own water, which is crazy. And it's literally the feeling of not being empowered in a space. Like the space is maybe a little too stuffy or, you know, maybe a little too much for what I was expecting. It depends. It varies. But in doing so, in empowering, you become an avenger. And look who wrote this quote. Oh my God, it's the guy who wrote me. Okay, we were talking briefly in emails. I know you remember me emailing you and asking you what power to you and how you and Campari use your powers. For good, for bad, whatever, but it's always for good, thank goodness.
But we try.
This part that you said really touched me. I'm going to read out loud in case people like are listening and not actually reading, you know, because I know sometimes I like to clean and listen. Daniel says, every person on his team would bend over backward and go to the ends of the earth to make sure they deliver the customer's needs. And that to him is hospitality. And that is what Campari is looking for in its employees. And that's their power. Money is power, sure. but it's how you use it that matters the most. And that really, really spoke to me, because before he even got into power, he got into empowerment. And that's what's important. You cannot have power without empowering the people around you, because it takes a team of Avengers to make something grow and happen in a major way, which we can see every day with Campari. They move in major ways. Like it's recognizable not because you see commercials for Campari, because the people behind the brand are doing the work so that we never forget. And in being an Avenger, there's some touchy points a little bit, where you have to sometimes recognize your unique privilege. And when I say that, everyone has unique privilege. I am privileged. I got to do this class, and I was asked to do these things, and I got to connect with some people. I get to talk to Daniel for an hour. That's a privilege that some bartenders that I know don't have. And so what I did with that little bit of privilege that I had was invite them to come see what I'm doing, to come watch and see if they're interested, and then imparting the knowledge that if you want to do this kind of class, here's the information. Like, here it is, so that you can do this too. Because if we continue to do that, everyone just keeps going up. You also have to do the work though as well. Like, everyone's not going to hand it to you. Sometimes you have to do the research to include the people that you really don't see every day. And that's important too. Sometimes it's really fun to get out your comfort zone and do some dope stuff. Next slide, please, Leo. I really like saying that. I don't know if you guys noticed. Reality, the reality stone. We're talking about alternate dimensions of hospitality, the different things that have happened, the things that are happening, and the things that are going to happen. These are all different dimensions that we're taking, and we can either go backwards or forwards. There's, unfortunately, as you can see on the left-hand side, the ugly reality of things, okay? Back in the day, we came far. We came really far from where we've come from. Back in the day, there was so much discrimination that they had to do a Civil Rights Act of 1964 to outlaw discrimination. And when it was outlaw discrimination, it wasn't just for my peoples, my Black folks. It was literally to outlaw discrimination for everyone, because there were immigrants that were coming that were being discriminated up north and things as such as well. There were different ways. We talk about hospitality, and I thought this was really cool. That's why I put this little Negro's Traveler Green Book. It was published by Victor H. Green, and it was literally a book like this, little pamphlet that showed people that were discriminated against where they could go for quality service. Now that's crazy to me, that they created a book just so that you could have great hospitality. It's dope. Like, it blew my mind. And then moving forward, once we got past that level of discrimination, of course, we went into, you start looking at the sexual discrimination that happens and the disparities and, payment and things like that, which also, of course. And then when we thought we got through all of that, even though we're still working towards those things, of course, then COVID happened, y'all. Oh my gosh. And we really caught a speed bump on that one. However, the other side of this slide is my favorite. We get to create new realities now. COVID-19 literally made us have to stop and assess. And now we get to assess how we're going to take all those ugly realities and make sure that they never happen again. We're actively and consciously looking for people that may not be represented in the establishments. I'm seeing new leadership roles to people who may not have been seen to be a leader before, but like we said, everyone has a different type of superpower. And just because it's not the usual leadership of suit and tie doesn't mean they may not be a great leader that empowers others. It's just a really exciting time. I'm sorry, I got really excited real quick because it's so thrilling that we get to literally upheave our industry and change it completely to what we've been all asking for the past years. I've been to enough seminars on the ugly realities for us to now do these amazing things. So next slide, Leo. I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says that.
I definitely need one of those.
So let's get into something a little bit more fun. The soul. Okay, the soul stone. We all got soul. There's a couple different kinds of soul, but we're doing it for the culture. Side note, this picture is from 2019 fall camp session, when we were popping champagne. That's the culture right there, okay? We did it for them. And so now we come to a place where we've discussed what hospitality is. We've discussed what We've discussed what hospitality is. We've discussed how we have gone past in the past and done the things. We talked about coming here and starting something new. And this is where doing it for the culture lies. Okay. Everything we're doing now is a golden age. Like we were looking at all that stuff back in the day, like, oh, that's such a golden age. Nah, we got one too. Okay. What we do now is going to shape the bartenders that come behind us. And it's all based off of our soul, of how we're feeling. Like there are so many pop-ups that are happening now with people that are connecting in different ways and just working together in just amazing ways. There's a Bartenders Against Racism. There's so many different things that are happening in the culture that are moving us forward into a place where, bruh, I can't wait to see our baby bartenders that come up behind us. They will not have problems with fresh fruit. They will not have problems with the sexual harassment problems because there's an open space to speak, a safe space to speak now. They will not have problems with finding the information or people being stingy with the information because that's not the culture that we're creating at this point. We're creating a culture that's about sharing and giving and helping others. Especially after this COVID thing, we have really realized from across the country, like you're over in LA, aren't you?
Yeah, I live in LA.
Yeah, like from across the country, here we are having this conversation, and it would have never happened. Hello?
Uh-oh, there we go.
All right, Leah, you can pull up a slide. I didn't like that. That made me nervous. So let's get on to, we've got the culture down pat, all the things. Now we have to start applying these things. But the first thing you do is not think about how much money you're making or the drinks or anything like that. It's the space. It's the ambiance for me, okay? It's the vibe that you're creating and how you want it to really bring people in because your vibe attracts your tribe, okay? What you put out there is what you're going to bring back. So you have to pay attention to the senses of your guests, not so much the senses of yourself. I love loud music when I make drinks. Like when I'm prepping and stuff, I love to turn my music up as loud as possible. But that might not be great for my guests' senses. Like they can't, if they have sensory overload in their ears, they can't really look and see all the beautiful things on the walls. They can't really enjoy the conversation of each other. They can't really have this drink because they're ready to go. They're just trying to drink it real quick and go. They're not enjoying the whole ambiance of what's going on. So at that point, it's really up to us where we have to ask ourselves, like, what is the vibe that we want? And you can't let someone else compromise it. I don't really go to beer gardens. It's not the vibe that I really do. You know what I'm saying? However, I know when I go to a beer garden, what the vibe is. So I know if I'm going, what I'm getting myself into. Compared to, I'm sure we've all been to a bar at the beginning of the year, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to come back here. This is so lovely. This is great. And like 6 months in, you're back in that same city. You go to that bar and you're like, whoa, what has happened? I told my friends about this place. Like, I have to tell them I lied. And it's all because they couldn't control their own vibe. They allowed outside sources or even guests sometimes to tell them what they prefer, which is always nice. We always want to hear back from our guests. But at the end of the day, we're providing a space and we have to stick to it. Because if they don't know what they're getting, they might not come get it. Next slide, Leo. I'm going to write a song, y'all. So I know for a fact that I have talked really fast just now. And we're at the last slide. However, there's so much more that I do still want to talk about. I have notes here. But let's conclude at least these slides. Pretty much this slide here is just literally me taking the time to give empowerment. It has been a lot of things that we've discussed, that I've discussed. And I'm sure that a lot of people have questions or how can I, make this better, or where should I start with some of the things that are in my brain. Just take your time. Take your time. Another wonderful thing about COVID is we have time. time to take and sit with the things that we're doing. Okay, we're always trying to predict trends and make the most of the few hours during service. Now all day is service because we have to-go things and we have the internet where we're always giving this hospitality. We're always doing this service if that's what you prefer. But you have to take a step back and recognize that we are a part of history right now. We are creating the history of hospitality. The history of making drinks has already happened. Everybody has already made the drinks that's going to be made. Okay, you can only add so many things to so many things and switch it up. However, what brings guests back are not because you make the best margarita or I make the best margarita, because there are millions of great margaritas. Usually any margarita with tequila is pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say, almost every margarita is great.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about I'm coming to experience this moment in time with these people, and this is a moment. We're creating moments. I wish I could write a history book about it, but I didn't go to school for that. But what we choose to do now and how we choose to treat each other now is going to affect how our guests come back to us in the future. We're all a little afraid. We're all having like anxiety attacks and, a little cautious about going out, which is understandable and respectable. I love that y'all wear a mask and being responsible. But also humans are people. Humans like to gather. We've been hunter-gatherers since forever. We like to be in community. And so now we have a chance to create a new community, a safe community, an honest community, and one that represents all of us, every single person in all the ways that they are. And with that, I think that we are really going to come up with some amazing things. The next couple years, especially after we get cleared to go outside and play again, the next couple years are going to be amazing with the thoughts and dreams of people who have been sitting in the house wanting to do something and not knowing how to get into that space because it seemed to be blocked off. It seemed that there was no hospitality for people trying to get in hospitality. But now it's an open house. Everybody got keys to the crib now. And that's wonderful. Do we have any questions so far or anything like that?
We've got Allison Wong says, drop tracks, Robi 2021 coming soon. Jams to mix too. I mean, I love that. Yes. I think the question is when exactly in 2021 is it coming out?
Listen, I like to keep people guessing. I'm going to do like Drake and just drop it randomly. She's going to be on iTunes randomly.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, I think,
something you said that like really resonated with me, especially when talking about, we have time, like we're all thinking about it. We're all assessing like how we approach the business. And I think, there's many levels to this, not just hospitality, but like business models and all of that stuff, how we work in this industry, safely and all that. But, I think one of the things that you talked about, especially one of the things, for me, and I know many other people in the industry that they really, really get the best vibes off of is when they can turn somebody else's experience around. When somebody comes in and they're having a bad day or whatever. And this is, if people are having a bad day, this is the time people are having a bad day. You know what I mean? This is it. And being able to turn people's experiences around, that was always one of the things for me that, somebody came in, they were in a bad mood, they weren't having a good time. Maybe they weren't even into talking or being involved in conversation. And by the time they left, we were good friends and they were going to come back to see me, or they were going to come back to see some of our staff. And I just knew that we changed their entire experience. And I think especially now focusing on that is an important thing. Obviously we all have to be like respectful and safe and go through this, however we can. But, just think about what's happening in the world out there right now. There is so many levels of things. And if we can take that moment, like you said that, and I was like, this is the time to focus on that. You know what I mean?
It is. And it's the time that was given. I do believe that we're only given what we need at the time. So like we all needed to chill. There were so many of my friends that had been working so hard trying to, climb these ladders and things like that, but they were really almost not being hospitable for themselves. Yep. They weren't taking care of themselves. They weren't like resting, and they were having health issues and things like that. And now with the renewness of them being able to take that time, now they can give themselves even more.
Yep.
And the even cooler things that they're doing. And I'm like, whoa, when did you think of that? When I was sitting on my bed for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because a friend of mine, she obviously took several months off while they were closed. I wanted to go visit her after they reopened. And she said to me, she was like, the hardest part about this whole thing is actually coming back to a schedule, because now I actually have a schedule. But she's like, what I got so used to in that 6-month period was rest, understanding what I needed mentally, emotionally, what my body needed, getting back into a rhythm that was comfortable for me. And I think it's a reset that we all had an opportunity to do, to be like, what's really important? You know what I mean? Like, what is important for my mind, for my body, for my emotions, and how can I work around that? That's a really good point.
I've also come to realize, because I'm working 1 day a week at Serenata, because I had to still be behind. We're outside. We literally had a bar built and put outside so that we could still take care of guests safely. And one of my biggest things about working there is literally the fact that some people come up and they're like, thank you so much for being here. Like, I just kind of miss a little bit of what we're used to. Like, thank you for, yes, being safe and taken care of, but thank you for giving me some normalcy back into my day. And I'm like, I didn't know I could touch you like that, boo. I didn't know it was going to be that inspirational to you, but thank you for giving me some normalcy. Like, I miss seeing people and just watching them have a good time. It fills your heart in a different way.
Yeah.
To watch people just be joyous.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things that I miss most about, going out, obviously, like seeing friends and, going to bars, but just being in public with people, having that moment where I can either be a part of the experience that's happening, I can talk to people, or maybe I just need a space to chill and just have that moment where it's just me. Maybe I'm reading a book, maybe whatever, but I'm around people. I know I'm in the society. I know I'm, a part of this, but maybe I don't want to talk to people. Maybe I just want this moment. And I've seen that with people where they're just, they've been stuck in their house, and they used to be able to just walk in, grab a drink, hang out, and they haven't been able to do that. So they're just like, just get me out. Where can I go? And just chill from that.
Like, you got the pouches? Great, I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got lawn chairs? Great. I don't care. I really don't. I
love my grassy patches. Oh man.
Yes.
Oh man. Especially for, like, I live in DC right now, but I was stationed in New York for a while. And my New York friends, I've really checked on them a lot more than, like, my friends in the South and my friends over West, because they were in buildings with not much grass around, like very tall buildings. Like, most of the places don't have patios or like a little area, so they were just stuck in like a little 4x4 situation. Anybody that lives in New York knows it's 4x4. That's the whole room.
Yep. Pretty much.
And it worried me, but it also is nice to see that they pivoted so well. And
New York, especially,
we don't even need cars in the streets anymore. Forget the cars for the streets.
No, and that's great. And that's great. Somebody was like, "Oh, what about the traffic?" I'm like, "We don't need the traffic, dude. New York's got the best public transportation system. You don't need the traffic. Just walk around. Just relax, walk around. I mean, it's good for you. You've been sitting around.
It's not cold yet. Well, now it is.
Yeah, getting there. So we got a couple questions. I'll read them out. So Michael, this is a really, really great question. Thank you for putting this one in. So in regards to empowering your team and creating a safe environment for our guests and team simultaneously, how do you feel is the best way to help steer the ship when a BIPOC LGBTQIA human brings up a concern for their comfort, safety, whether it's with a guest or a team member?
Well, that was loaded and a great question. I think it starts with having things already in place. In most of our industry recently, we are reactive, not proactive. And so there should already be a situation where your biopic and LGBTQ family members, they should be able to know who to talk to and what the steps are when they speak to that person originally. If that's not the case, then that needs to be the case. Like, there's no way to go around it. There has to be a safe and listed situation so that people know these are the steps that are happening if this occurs. First off, it helps people not to do the things because they know what the steps are if they do them. And also, if it does happen, it gives you the empowerment as the person that's being, harmed in the situation to be like, these are the things I can do. And if these are not done, I can keep somebody responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would suggest. Keep in mind, y'all, I'm just Robi, okay? Like, I have had a few run-ins with like being the boss of a program, kinda, but I've never been like a manager of many years. I can't say how it works for every single person, but I feel like as someone who's an employee for many years, I would have appreciated that. I would just appreciate someone's like, hey, these are what, just like when you get your write-up because you're about to get fired and all that stuff, you know the steps. You're going to get the first write-up, you're going to discuss it, then you're going to get the second write-up, and it's going to go down on paper. Then the third write-up is like, all right, if you do this one more time, you're fired. You already know what it is.
Yeah.
It should be something very similar because these are not things that we're playing with. We're talking about people's livelihoods. It's just like a job. It's just like having the job. It's having a job of life and having a job of respecting each other.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, that's the entire idea is that, we're presenting the concept, we're presenting the ideas to you. Like, now it's there. We've talked about it. So if you're not listening, or if you're trying to pretend like you're not listening and you're not acknowledging it, then we can't move forward. So everybody needs to have that conversation. And I think Olivia, who's on this thread, one of my coworkers in Seattle, she had a conversation with her USBG, and she was like, hey, we need to have a conversation, like a larger conversation about this, so that we can address it, we can all acknowledge it, and we can move forward. We can put in systems in place where we can have these conversations with our employees, so that if we have those conversations, then it's much easier for us to move forward. If we don't have those conversations, you can't assume every single person understands the rules that we have to live by now. Or in the changes in the industry. So we need to start having these conversations on a level, with, let's say, for example, like USBG or that level. So communities together start to have the conversation, so we all know the rules that we're playing by. If we don't do that, then it's going to be much more difficult for people to bring up their grievances and their issues like that.
Not just that, but I feel like just to piggyback off of that, these conversations we had often. Yep. It's very hard to have a conversation with someone when you don't know how to, you've never had it, period. So But the more times you have a conversation, the easier it gets, the more you're open to say things that you may not have said last time because you didn't feel comfortable saying. Like, they have to be ongoing, almost like your shift meetings. Like, you need to have ongoing conversations about this so that everyone can feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's all we want, is for everyone to feel comfortable.
Yeah, totally. I agree. So Chucky Tom had a question here. First of all, she said, thank you for a much needed bit of sunshine. What are your pointers for finding the positive? Also, dress is amazing. Love that.
Let's start with the dress. Okay. I decided to go the jewel tone because, we're talking about jewels and stones and things. So I'm glad you noticed, Chox. Thank you. Ask the question one more time. I got excited about my dress.
What are your pointers for finding? What are your pointers for finding positives, not just in your wardrobe, but I think in life in general? I'm just going to ad lib there, but
being gifts in life in general. So my pointers, first of all, my biggest pointer for finding positives is being grateful. There have been, and I'll keep this in the bartender lane, and so because that's where we all are. We're all in that general vicinity. There have been so many times, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, that you go behind the bar, you're new here, or you're just doing an event gig real quick, and there's nothing that you need. No one knows where the stuff is. You're like, oh my God, I have to make this work. And by the end of, you're stressed. We all know it's stressful. By the end of the event, all the guests have been like, oh my God, you're so great. This was wonderful. The person that's paying you is probably like, oh, you are the bee's knees. This is dope. I don't know how you made it happen. I'm so proud of you and excited. And you sit back and you're like, yeah, that was crazy, but I'm so grateful for this experience because never, ever will I be stuck like this again. Now I know what I need. Now I know what needs to happen. I literally am always just trying to find the smallest thing to be grateful for in situations. I'm currently grateful for this Campari bottle. As you can tell, there's a chunk been missing. I was very grateful when I received it. Okay. And that's my pointer. Like, don't get it twisted. Just because you're finding the grateful moments does not mean moments will not still be hard. But the point is, you're still continuing to have moments. Aha, be grateful for it. Like, that's. I'm like, okay, today wasn't a good day, but tomorrow's a whole new one. Okay, and we can make something else happen. Like, if today wasn't a good shift, I will take notes as to what was bad about the shift, and tomorrow that won't happen.
Yeah. I think that positivity is contagious too. You know those people you get around that are always just so positive. They're a bright, shining light. Everything they say, everything that comes out of their mouth, you're like, why didn't I think of that? How come I didn't think of that? You know, it's contagious, and you just want to be around them. I love that kind of energy is what you're putting off, and what you just said right there. That's a good point, because that's how those people think. It's not about, concentrate on the negative. You know, I need to be upset about this right now. It's like, no. But like, look at this positive thing. That's amazing. Yeah, that negative thing sucks. We got to figure out how to fix that. But so much to be positive for.
Mm-hmm. And currently, the highest positivity point for me is the fact that we are all still here. Like, there are a lot of people that were lost, and the fact that we get to still do these things. If that's not the highest level of positivity at this point, and I got a new president for my birthday, I am just overloaded. If somebody needs some positivity, I'll send it. Send me your address. I'll send you some.
So much positivity on Saturday. I can tell you that.
Y'all. It was beautiful. I worked that day too. It was lovely. It really almost felt like none of this had happened. It felt like 2019 almost. It was lovely to watch people just be joyous in the streets.
Yeah. Oh man, I just remember on Saturday watching the screen and looking at DC, what was happening in DC. Oh man, because I used to live in DC. I guess it's about 12 years ago, and there was something that happened in between administrations. It's just something that happens. Like, administrations change and parties change, and the whole city changes. But watching that, I was like, I just felt that energy, and I was like, I bet anybody that's going out to bars and restaurants tonight, they are just so excited. Everybody's working excited. Everybody that comes out is excited, and I just wanted to be a part of that energy. Looked amazing.
So that Saturday, DC sold more bottles of champagne than all year for New Year's last year. Like, more bottles of champagne than for New Year's of 2019 were sold on Saturday. I can attest to it. Like, I had no more bottles of champagne in the stores, in my storage in the back. Like, none. And people weren't even buying glasses. They were like, no, give me 2 bottles.
Yeah. There's 2 of us. We'll take 2 bottles. No big deal. It's fine.
And I was like, there's 3 of us. I'm here too. You need 3 bottles. You're going to finish so quickly.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of energy. I mean, that energy makes hospitality easy. You know what I mean? Because everybody's feeling it. Everybody's putting good energy out there. I think hospitality, especially too, is you got to expect that you're not going to come into that sort of energy. But when you do, it just makes it that much easier. And those nights at the end of the night, you're like, man, that was a good night. That was so good.
We're talking about hospitality when it comes to us giving it to guests. It was the best night to be working.
Yeah.
We talk about hospitality as in, like, we're giving it to guests, but there are plenty of times that I go into work and I'm not really feeling it, and my guests give it to me. They literally like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. Or, oh, I didn't know you were coming in tonight. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ready to work now. Somebody pass me a 10.
There's gotta be something about recharging your batteries. You know what I mean? Something about, like, that energy and that positivity, just like in the hospitality industry, like you're saying, like, and it could come from your coworkers. It could come from because there's times you come in and you're not feeling so good, and the person you're working next to, they bring that energy, and you're just like, oh, you know what? All right, I'm with this person tonight. This is good. This is going to be a good thing. And then, you both work together and create that hospitality. And I always had one guy that I worked with on, like, Tuesday nights, and Tuesday nights were always really slow, but they were the best night. It didn't matter what was happening. It was slow, but it was both of us, and we were, spreading that energy between us and to everybody in the room. And even if it was slow, we didn't make a lot of money. It was still just like, man, that was a good night. And this is a night to be in the business. You know what I mean?
And those are the nights when you make your best regulars, because they're like, I'm coming back every Tuesday.
100%.
I love this.
Yep. 100%.
They do flow 2 ways. Hey. That's how they flow. So I had another quote that I did want to say for sure. It was about reality, about the reality side of things.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's very important. I have to say it. It says
Yeah.
if you stick your head, well, and I feel like this works more like for last year because right now you can't stick your head in any restaurant without a mask on. Remember that. But if you stick your head into any restaurant in America, you're likely to see predominantly black and brown kitchen staff and non-predominantly front of the house. Like back of the house is usually browner, front of the house is usually not as brown, and they beg to ask the question, like, does that mean that the front of the house leadership is better because they're not brown? Like, can they lead better? No, that's not what it is. It's a matter of our culinary system was built on bias, and now because of everyone recognizing and being able to talk to each other through social media and things, we're recognizing the biases and we're coming back from that. And I had to share that because I thought it was so dope that somebody took the time to even, like, when I stick my head in a restaurant, I'm looking for the menu. I'm not looking at the people. I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah, that's a very good point, though.
It is. It's definitely something we should be thinking about.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
But I think man, I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about election stuff. The fact that our White House is going to be shaped the way it is, it's a trickle down effect.
Yep.
Everything will be shaped different now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, 2008. I remember 2008. It was like, it was a whole new world when Obama got elected. It was just like, wow, like the energy. Because I lived in DC that year, so I remember the energy, and it was crazy because it just it's breaking barriers. It's breaking, it's going through glass ceilings. It's showing that there's possibility for change and big change, and that just shows our society, the children of our society, the possibilities of the future, and all that. It's so important. And that energy is the best energy
as well. Like we're breaking glass ceilings in our industry. We're changing it up, and it's exciting. It's just an exciting time to want to do stuff.
Agreed. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions coming through, but do you have any more quotes?
I don't think so. No, I kind of put it all into my slides because I wanted everybody to be able to read. Your quote was so dope. I was like, no, this is going in the slide. I will change
Well, I appreciate you asking me that. And I think especially the dialogue between, currently our side of the industry, I'm going to say our side, meaning, Campari and everybody I work with and liquor brands, and the dialogue between this side and the behind the bar side is so important. It's so important right now for us to have those conversations because this, as you mentioned earlier, we are rebuilding and we are coming out of this in a completely different world. And if we're not working together, if we're not having those conversations about how we help you and vice versa, we're going to just revert back to old ways, which is no good, and it's not helpful in any way. And we need to be listening to what you have to say so that we can adjust and come to you with better ideas and better solutions to problems and things like that. So I appreciate you asking me those questions and allowing to have that conversation. It's important.
I appreciate you having the space for it. I'm not gonna lie. In my younger baby bartender years, I had so many questions first, just questions, and I didn't have someone to ask those questions to, or I didn't feel as connected with brands because I was getting just the paper sheets that they're printing out for everybody when I really wanted to understand. And so in having that discussion with you, I was just like, whoa, well, good thing I do Campari at your service every year because now I feel like it makes sense now. Like before I was like, oh, this is a cool thing to do. But now I'm like, no, they really are at the service. Like they really meant this. And that makes a difference to me, at least.
Yeah. This is a really good point. It also needs to move and evolve from just conversations. Very good point. And from those conversations, you need to act. And we all need to act, but especially companies. When you mentioned power in your question to me, power can be money too. But what are you going to do with your money? Where are you going to put your money? Are you going to put it behind the right people, the right motives? Is it just to sell product? Because I can tell you, in all the conversations with my team, there's never a time that we go, this is going to sell more product. This thing we're doing is going to sell more product. You know what I mean? It's like, no, this thing is going to help people. This thing is going to, move the industry forward. That's the important part. And if those are the conversations you're having to act, then those are the right conversations to have.
Also, because at the end of the day, the product sells itself. Like everyone knows what Campari does. Like
we're fortunate in having groundbreaking products. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so when they sell themselves a little bit, then you have to step out of that, and it's refreshing because there are some companies that are just like, okay, well, our stuff is selling, and that's fine, but
yeah,
that's not just fine. You have a whole voice, and I appreciate you guys using your voice the correct way. And I'm hoping that these conversations that we have are going to inspire the actions. Because sometimes just because you have the conversation doesn't mean you're inspired to act.
Yeah.
But sometimes someone says something and you're like, you know what? That was what I needed to really, boom. Now I can make it happen. So I hope, if nothing else, this small conversation that we had today inspires one person to just be like, maybe I can do that. Or maybe I'll try this a little differently. And see what happens. It's not like you can fail. We've already been through COVID. You can't get no worse, bro.
Yeah. This year is a very good example. Yes. Well, Michael's got something here to say about you, so I'm sure Leo will put it up. But I definitely want to thank Robi for sharing this and creating this format. It's something to share. It is very representative of her. To me, she is a portrait of exactly what it is being shared. I've worked with her and seen firsthand this power she has to turn a party, keep things cranking on the service end, and making everyone has stepped into her house and making them feel their best. So, Michael, thank you for that too. Also, you are the best. Love you, my man.
I don't want to cry on screen, Michael. I'm going to call you and cry later.
This is from Olivia. This is my coworker. Not a question, but just wanted to say that it was so inspiring and comforting to listen in on. Robi did an amazing job embodying eloquently what it is to be a member of the hospitality community.
Oh, I have to say this. First of all, thank you, Olivia. Second of all, I literally am empowered by everyone. Like, I wanted to do this class just so I could talk to like people that I love and tell you guys that we're killing it already. We're already on the verge and the path of killing it. You just gotta continue to do it. Okay, seriously, I am gonna start crying. Like, this is a lot.
No, this is great. You did an amazing job. You put an amazing presentation together, and the energy you brought. So good. Thank you so much for doing it.
I might have to do a pop-up now when I'm selling the Infinity Wars.
You should.
I'm gonna come in as Thanos. I'm gonna just snap my fingers and give drinks to everyone.
Let's do it. I'm down. Next time I'm in DC, we'll get Dwayne. We'll do it. We'll do a pop-up together.
That'd be dope. And everyone in here is invited. You guys get first dibs because you were here.
Yes.
On time. I like that energy.
To be in a large group together, of course, with masks.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for putting this presentation together. It was so great. I love talking about hospitality in general. I can't tell you how many times I've sat there and had conversations like this that just give me the energy and the strength to move forward. And I know what you said and the way you said it is giving that energy to other people. So thank you for taking your time to do that and to give that to everybody.
Thank everybody. Thank you guys for having me. Me and my Avenger here, we're going to enjoy the rest of this Campari. I appreciate all for being here, and so does Wonder Woman. So,
thanks everybody for joining. And thank you, Portland Cocktail Week, Distance Learning. Thank you for providing this platform for all of us, for us to be involved, for Robi to share her knowledge and information. So thank you, and thanks everybody for joining.